Chapter 11. The clouds darkened as if it was about to rain. A tall youth with a ponytail and Akatsuki cloak walked the desolate land. His constantly activated Sharingan blazed red as he walked with a thoughtful expression. "So you are the notorious Uchiha Itachi. You don't look like much," said a voice behind him. He turned around in surprise, and saw a woman fully in white. Her deep white hooded cloak concealed her face excellently, and for some reason even the Sharingan could not penetrate that concealment. "You evaded me. Most impressive," Itachi said stoically. His Sharingan saw the massive chakra the woman held. It was somewhat larger than his own. "I am here to collect the bounty placed on your head, Uchiha Itachi. S-ranked criminal whose true strength is unknown, murderer of the Uchiha, traitor to Konoha. Your price in the bingo book is very high, after all," said the woman in a calm voice. Itachi still observed her stoically. The woman was very strong, and was obviously not to be taken lightly. "You can try, but I am afraid you will be dead soon enough," the woman said. "Let us see," and disappeared with barely a sound. Itachi's mastery of the Sharingan allowed him to react in abundant time, and he easily caught the palm that was aimed at his chest. He pivoted and aimed a kick at her head, which was neatly dodged. The woman then sped forward and threw at him a complex series of punches and kicks, the finesse and control amazing him. But he was not called the true heir of the Sharingan for nothing, and he met her attacks efficiently, extending the battle. Finally he caught her right-handed punch with his own, and slammed his elbow onto her face. At the same time, he could feel her kick connect to his side. The two of them separated and flew back several yards from each other. His opponent seemed to be considering him carefully. "You do not use genjutsu on me, I see. You are a master of genjutsu, are you not?" "I am. But you are a sincere ninja, and by the way your chakra flows I can see that your chakra is especially inert to genjutsu," answered Itachi. He formed the ox seal and intoned, "Gokaki no Jutsu." A massive fireball shot from his mouth, roaring towards the hooded woman at a fast pace. It burned a huge furrow in the ground as it rushed onwards. "Suiton, Mizu no Mayu," said the woman forming the bird seal. Inexplicably, his onrushing ball of fire was covered by water and came rushing back to him. The water surrounding the fire was now boiling, making it even deadlier. Itachi's Sharingan widened as it analyzed the extremely skilled Suiton manipulation. He was not strong enough with Suiton to stop that attack, and did not have time for Ken. Only one option, then. His eyes morphed into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Amaterasu. The heavenly black flames swallowed up the counterattack of the woman, and Itachi turned his baleful gaze upon her. The fires of Amaterasu materialized instantly in a large torrent in front of the woman and fell upon her. Itachi looked with surprised eyes as his unquenchable flames were absorbed neatly into the woman. "Fukahoin. The strongest fire suppressor there is," he said, impressed with her ingenuity. She slammed her palms together, and Itachi saw her chakra surging like a turbulent sea. A rippling gray cloak of chakra surrounded her lithe form. "Fuuin Jutsu, Hikari no Zettai Shamatsu," she proclaimed, and pure light began to gather around her, forming into hundreds of weapons. Absolute annihilation of the light. Light chakra manipulation and sealing techniques combined together. What power! I will have to use that technique. It is the only thing that can repel this, thought Itachi as his Mangekyo Sharingan shone a menacing red. The hundreds of weapons impacted Itachi in a multitude, and an extremely large explosion ensued. The ground began to tear up everywhere, and the air became hot with the energy released by the technique. The woman kept staring at the place where Itachi was attacked by her technique as the smoke cleared. Then she saw something impossible, or rather, something unexpected. A large skeleton of golden chakra towering to 50 feet encased the Uchiha, holding a burning sword of flames in one hand and a flaming red shield in the other. Itachi strode forward impassively as the woman gasped in surprise. "I am afraid it is the end of the line for you," said the Uchiha shortly, and the skeleton was now beginning to be covered by sinew of chakra, and the sinew was then coated by 2 layers of armor, the face of the huge warrior now obscured by the visor. only the glowing eyes showed through. The woman stood stock still as she glanced at the weapons the towering warrior of chakra bore. So powerful at such a young age, just like Uchiha Madara and, she said, causing Ichi to stop for a moment in his inexorable advance. What did you say? To awaken such a strong Susanoo completely. To have it manifest the sword of Totsuka which can seal anything, and the Utamura which can repel all attacks. You are indeed the true heir of the Sharingan, Ichi. She praised in a wondering voice. Ichi narrowed his eyes and stared at her. This woman knew too much, and had to be eliminated. The sword of Totsuka swung down at her in a flaming arc, and she raised her hands like a hyuga would. Ichi watched closely as seals appeared on her fingertips. The woman seemed to brace herself, and then she slapped the sword of Totsuka away. She then fell down to the ground on her knees, gasping. Ichi stared at her with absolute astonishment. You parried this sword? How is it possible? He whispered. But he observed her and saw that she had lost a large amount of chakra during that parry. It would evidently be a race of who could hold out longer. He cursed as every cell in his body began to hurt, leading him to cough blood to the ground. Susanoo was very expensive with just the Mangekyo. He had to finish this, fast. The sword of Totsuka swung at her rapidly, but the woman formed the seals every time and parried the sword. Each time she did, however, she fell to the earth briefly before she gathered herself again. She raised her hands to finally block the legendary sword, and Ichi saw her lose most of her chakra as his sword was deflected. She fell to her knees, exhausted completely. His Sharingan observed her chakra levels that were practically non-existent. His eyes were hurting, and his body was weak by this much use of Susanoo. He fell to the ground, coughing blood. He had to release the Susanoo if he were to live. He still had much to do, too much. So he released the technique and staggered forwards. The woman too staggered towards him and raised her hands in a sign of peace, weakly. Ichi stopped and stared wearily. His eyes were beginning to lose their sight, as his vision became blurry. You remind me of my son so much. He was just like you, sacrificing everything for our village. I see him in you. My husband was right about you. Ichi had a suspicion forming in his head as he took support on a tree trunk and stared as the panting woman removed her hood. A shock of long red hair fell out, revealing a pale and beautifully heart-shaped face. It was a face he recognized well. The beautiful face of Uzumaki Mito stared at him with motherly affection. Mito-san. He whispered with utter surprise. Hashirama was right about you, Ichi-kun. You are so much like our son. Shall we depart to a safe location? We need to talk. Ichi just nodded, and the two gathered their remaining strength with a great effort of will to disappear in a burst of speed. Naruto walked leisurely on the road to Konoha with Jiraiya, Shizune and Tsunade accompanying him. He grinned. Even this grown-up version of Tsunade idolized him, it seemed. He remembered her reaction as she learned his identity. I am Hashirama. The rumors you have heard about me defeating Iwa are true. So you still have me and Mito left. The Senju clan is still strong with us alive. He finished his tale, recounting the astonishing events of the past months. Oh Jizen. How can this be? You died. And yet you are back by Minato's mistake? You reborn as Minato's son? What a trick of fate this is! Murmured Tsunade in disbelief. She faced her beloved grandfather, who she thought she would meet only in the afterlife. She stared at him with tears flowing continuously down her cheeks. She had to believe it, she had no choice with his story and the facts pointing to it. Not to mention Jiraiya was seriously corroborating everything that had been said. The man who had practically raised her in her childhood, who had taught her many things that stayed with her all her life and made her who she was. The man who taught her the meaning of the most important things in life. I am back, Tsunade-chan. He said, and looked at her sadly. I know you were deeply hurt by Nawaki's death, but that was no reason for you to forsake your comrades. You know of my history. I too lost two of my brothers at a very tender age. I do not mean to belittle your grief, But you must be thankful that you had significant amounts of good memories of Milwaukee before he passed. Clan and village are not meant to be forsaken for the sake of personal angst, Tsunade-chan. Tsunade could hardly believe it as she hung her head in shame. She couldn't look him in the eyes, she knew what he said to be true. Her grandfather truly had experienced much more loss than she had. Still he had never even thought of drowning in his own sorrows as she had. Have you forgotten the love and faith of our Senju clan? Have you forgotten the will of fire my son and you his daughter inherited from me? Does the will not burn in you anymore? He asked disappointedly. Tsunade was deeply hurt by his disappointment. More than words could say. It had taken her grandfather to come back from the dead and drag her back to Konoha. She suddenly felt regret at her utter foolishness for forsaking the village in her pain. She looked into Naruto's forest green eyes that looked decades older than the rest of his body, and flinched. She saw Senju Hashirama's eyes looking at her with disappointment, sadness and even understanding. She threw herself into his arms, softly crying. Naruto stroked her hair tenderly, just like he had when she was a little girl. I'm sorry, Ojizen. I'm so sorry. I was so angry when Dan and Milwaukee died. It was unbearable. I couldn't bear to see Konoha again, too many bad memories. Naruto nodded and let her go. The past is unchangeable, Tsunade-chan. The position of Hokage is the greatest honor that can be bestowed upon a Konoha shinobi. It means that you are considered worthy enough to lead the village I founded. Madara refused to be Hokage even when he was given a second chance and spit on our dreams. You know what it led to. So will you truly come back to Konoha and become the Godame Hokage? Tsunade nodded with resolve, causing Naruto to smile. She then frowned quizzically. Ojizen. Why don't you just become the Hokage again? No, I won't. Akatsuki is a true threat, and I do not need the duties of a Hokage to prevent me from protecting Konoha in my full capacity. Tsunade looked at Naruto with happiness. You say Miho Obisan is also back, Ojizen? Naruto grinned predatorily. Yes. She is young again with her 17-year-old body. So beautiful. I really need to thank Orochimaru for that before I kill him. Tsunade now looked happier than ever, as they walked out to rejoin Jiraiya and Shizune. Her teammate and apprentice noticed her huge smile and smiled themselves. It seemed Konoha would have a good Godame after all. Naruto was shaken out of his thoughts as a messenger bird dropped the scroll on his head. He bent down to catch it. Jiraiya and Tsunade looked at him inquisitively, and Shizune was attempting to feed the stubborn tauntaun. He opened the scroll and read. My beloved husband. Uchiha Itachi has agreed to your request. I talked him into it after getting into a stalemate of a fight. And you were right, he is extremely strong. I shudder to think of what strength he will possess when he gains the eternal eyes like Madara. Be warned, Jesus no uses Tatsuki no Tsurugi and the Ita mirror. With the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The boy might even be a match for you at full strength. You chose a great Uchiha. Him and Sasuke will change that accursed clan, Hashirama. And do not worry about me. I plan on staying with Ichi a while longer as we seek his transplants. He told me he has his mother's eyes stored in a secret Uchiha base. He plans to take Makoto's eyes and make his Sharingan eternal. We are currently on our way to that base. I will heal Ichi as best as I can, and transplant the eyes onto him. Konoha will be safe for now, with you and Ichi guarding it. Ichi and I will part the following morning. He is a great man, Hashirama. He reminds me of our son every second I lay eyes on him. He feels like my son as well. I will help him to the best of my ability. Please take care of yourself. I will be back in Konoha in another 3 days and I look forward to seeing little Tsunade and you again. Love. Uzumaki Mito. Naruto sighed. Ichi had been incredibly noble when he refused power, but it was necessary. When he had shown him the visions proving his identity, he had also shown the older Uchiha his suspicions about Danzo, what he thought of pain and requested Ichi to try and acquire the eternal Mangekyo somehow. Ichi had said he would consider it, but Naruto sensed his reluctance. Understandable, seeing as he knew what Madara had become after gaining the Eternal Mangekyo. He himself had wanted to show Ichi why he needed to get the Eternal Mangekyo, but it was in vain. It had been vital for him to heal Sasuke at the time, so he had let Ichi go. But Mito could show him the necessity, and Konoha would have its second defender if the need arose. So he had sent her a message immediately. Sasuke was still developing, so it had to be Ichi. There was no other alternative. Naruto had to admit, the idea of Uchiha Ichi with the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was very formidable. 3 days later, Konohagakure no Sato. They are here, Kushina-sama. Tsunade-sama is back, along with Naruto-san and Jiraiya-sama. The citizens are welcoming the Godame now. Izumo said to Kushina urgently before disappearing on his next errand. Kushina smiled happily on hearing that her son was back, along with Tsunade. He had succeeded, of course he had. Let us meet them in near the Hokage Tower, Mito. We need to see Tsunade-sama's elevation to Godame. We can exchange information later in the tower when all of us are gathered. Mito nodded, looking elated at this turn of events. Tsunade was back and her task was accomplished. Hashirama would be happy. The two Uzumaki women disappeared, heading towards their about-to-be completed family. Naruto and Jiraiya looked at Tsunade, seeing her pride and elation as the villagers venerated her as the Godame. Her beautiful face was radiating joy as she saw the village she had so callously abandoned in her grief, welcoming her with all its heart. Tsunade stepped up to the dais as the council of Konoha approached her solemnly. The villagers were gathered in their thousands, cheering the new Godame Hokage. Naruto watched proudly from her side as Hamura stepped up and began the ceremony of Tsunade's elevation to Godame. Senju Tsunade, you are chosen by Konoha to be its Godame Hokage. The Hokage is the heart of the village, just as the shinobi are its lifeblood. That was what our Shodai Hokage, Senju Hashirama taught us. Will you be the essence, the heart, the leader of Konoha? Asked Hamura. The thousands of villagers and shinobi observed solemnly as the ceremony that was as old as the first Hokage happened for the 5th time. I will, said Tsunade firmly. Then, Senju Tsunade, you are appointed the Godame Hokage of Konoha, the one who will guide us, protect us, and lead us to prosperity. May you reign be long and great. Said Koharu, placing the Hokage hat of Konoha in Tsunade's hands. Naruto watched as Tsunade wore the Hokage hat for the first time, and he felt proud. 3 Senju have become Hokage out of 5. All 3 with the same blood as me flowing through their veins. You did well to accept, Tsunade-chan. You are strong enough to be Hokage, there is no doubt about it. You will be great as our leader. He saw Mito and his mother watching from the windows of the Hokage Tower as Tsunade turned to the gathered multitude of Konoha's populace. Mito, like him, was wearing an expression of pride and affection as she saw their granddaughter become Hokage. His mother just waved at him happily, and he waved back. At the heart of our village, in the hearts of our shinobi, it is the Hokage who are the guiding light. The one whose strength protects Konoha and keeps it prosperous, said Tsunade as she stared around at the gathered thousands. Sarutobi-sensei was one of our greatest shinobi, giving up everything for the sake of the village. Many other shinobi of our village have immersed themselves in darkness only to protect the light we live in. We have been invaded by Suna and Oto, and we were defended by our great shinobi. We beat back the invaders, and erased Hiwa's strongest army. Sensei defeated Orochimaru utterly before he died, ridding us of another major threat. The crowd looked proud and reverent as they stared at Naruto, and remembered their great sendame at the same time. Many more threats loom over our village, and we must grow stronger as a village. I will not allow our village that was founded by the likes of my grandfather Senju Hashirama and the Uchiha Patriarch Madara, to be overrun by our enemies. The clans of our great village will work together with our shinobi, and we will realize the great dream of peace Hashirama dreamt for us. This I swear is the Godame Hokage. The crowd cheered madly, and the shinobi flared their chakra in response. Naruto could feel the change in the village as Tsunade assumed the mantle he himself had worn for so many years. You would be so proud of your daughter, my son. Just as your mother and I will always be proud of you. Hokage Tower, Konoha. Kakashi, Mito, Kushina, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Naruto had assembled in the Hokage's private offices after Tsunade's ceremony. The seal of privacy had been activated, giving them absolute concealment. Glad to see you have come to your senses, Tsunade. You were always a stubborn one. Mito commented, examining Tsunade with a discerning eye. Tsunade blushed faintly and nodded. Then her eyes firmed and she looked at the gathered ninja seriously. Much has changed in Konoha, and the balance of power is shifting very fast in the nations. The next few years will be extremely vital to the growth of shinobi as a whole. Grandfather has told me all about Akatsuki, and they are the pressing issue here. We must respond fast to their threat. Jiraiya, what is the status of that group? Jiraiya gathered his thoughts for a moment. Suna is responding erratically to our messages, and Iwa is currently close to us in all channels. AIM is becoming increasingly hostile as well. We would do well to assume that Akatsuki is now involving itself in international and political affairs. If we cannot control the situation, then we must be ready for it. Mito nodded, looking at Naruto. Hashirama, Ichi now possesses the eternal Mangekyo as you had wished for him to. He burned off his blinding cloth with Amaterasu easily. He will be an extremely formidable ally to our village. Tsunade shivered slightly when Mito herself addressed Naruto as Hashirama. She steepled her fingers behind her desk, considering the problem that the Akatsuki posed. The Akatsuki have extremely powerful ninja under them. You could probably wipe them all out easily, couldn't you, Ojizen? She asked Naruto hopefully. I could deal with the lesser Akatsuki easily enough, but the higher members, especially Pain, are very powerful shinobi. I refuse to underestimate the sage's eyes, and I can face all 9 at once, but only after I have my full power back. I need to get to that fast. Which is why you insisted on Ichi getting the eternal eyes. To ensure Konoha's protection when you were gone? Kakashi asked. Hashirama never takes chances with the village, Kakashi-kun. He may be the strongest ninja since the Sixth Path Sage, but Konoha was not built with arrogance, nor preserved by it. It is prudence and planning that has made our village stand proud for this long, lectured Mito. Jiraiya looked at Tsunade. We should solidify our alliances fast. Suna and Iwa are in a state of hostility against our village, and Akatsuki still roams the land free. We need a counter for them, our own organization within the village. Something to respond to Akatsuki should they make another move. Kushina, who had quietly observed the proceedings, spoke up as the group considered the idea carefully. Such a group would have to consist of our most powerful shinobi, except Hokage-sama. Until my son finishes his training, the group must be on standby against any Akatsuki threat. Naruto walked to the center of the room with Mito at his side. The legendary couple examined the new generation of Konoha's shinobi. Naruto turned to Tsunade. Tsunade, who would you have in that group? Tsunade replied immediately. Not you, Ojizen. You will leave to train. Konoha will be unassailable with the full strength of Senju Hashirama on its side. That automatically eliminates Mito, Ojizen and Kushina as they will be going with you. Naruto nodded, as did Mito and Kushina. Jiraiya said. Kakashi, Gai and me will join the group. My intelligence network is now autonomous enough for me to complete other missions. Perhaps we should include Kumo and Kiri in this venture? Tsunade's face lit up. Excellent idea, Jiraiya. The organization of this team will be our highest priority. 3 from Kumo, 3 from Kiri and 3 from Konoha will form the response team to the Akatsuki. We will somehow need to get this news to Ichi-kun, pondered Mito. Naruto agreed. Yes. I will not leave Ichi out of the loop. He is Konoha's second most powerful shinobi, after me. And unflinchingly loyal. If what my wife says is true, then he will be the only one with strength enough to stop the true Pain besides me. I agree with Naruto. Now, what to do about Sasuke-kun? asked Kushina with concern. Is he stable? Has the Mangekyo had any adverse effects on his psyche? Naruto asked his mother. I believe so. He has already had great trauma in his life. The Mangekyo Sharingan has increased his depression even more. He should never have awakened it this early. Ichi made a foolish mistake giving him those eyes, she said sharply. Naruto watched amused as his wife vehemently defended Ichi's actions. Ichi-kun was only making contingencies for the villages and his clan's survival. Kushina, would you not do the same if it meant the survival of the Uzumaki and Konoha? She asked heatedly. The rest watched as Kushina slowly wilted under Mito's stare. The younger Uzumaki woman nodded with slow agreement. I suppose I would. But Sasuke is also like a son to me, almost as much as Naruto. They should never have had such misery in their life. She whispered sadly. The Uchiha treasure love more than anyone, Kasan. You don't know what happened to Madara when my brother killed Izuna. He went mad with lust for power and revenge. Hatred consumes those Uchiha whose love is lost. In this matter I side with Ichi. I too would do anything to keep my brother safe and strong, to keep my clan alive and to keep my village standing, Naruto said sadly. Tsunade however spoke. Anyway, let us discuss what overtures we have to make to Kiri. Kushina, I believe you are very familiar with the Godame Mizukage. They continued their plans. Konoha would not fall to Akatsuki or anyone else. Akatsuki base, unknown location. Senju Tsunade, the medic Sannin, has become the Hokage of Konoha. Zetsu reports that Konoha has begun to gather power actively under her direction. Uzumaki Mito, Kushina, Naruto and others met yesterday with the Hokage to hold conference, but Zetsu was unable to breach their guarding seal. We cannot oppose the strength of Konoha with a guarantee of our victory. So, our approach this time will be militaristic, said Pain in his deep voice, looking around at the gathered members of the Akatsuki. They had gathered physically this time. Konoha is allied with Kiri and Kumo. Suna and Iwa hate Konoha and we will use that hatred against them all. Deodara, what was the Tsuchikage's decision? Deodara snickered. The old man is with us 100% and accepted all our conditions. We can begin building our bases in Iwa somewhat legally. Good. We control Suna anyway, and I control Amigakure. We will begin to array the strength of the other minor villages on our side in the next 3 years, and also capture what Jinchuriki we can. Konoha will eventually understand along with the Kubai Jinchuriki the consequences of angering God. Kakazu looked at Pain. All fine and good, but we need details and facts for our missions. Toby will bring my orders to all of you, individually. Let us disperse. The Akatsuki walked towards the exit, but Pain appeared in front of Ichi, who was the last to leave. Do you really believe I cannot sense your unbelievably drastic increase in strength, Ichi? My Rinnegan is the strongest jutsu in existence. What happened to your Mangekyo? Questioned Pain in an impassive voice. Ichi did not answer and just stared at Pain, evaluating and considering. Space distorted into a compressing spiral as the orange-masked Toby appeared in the room beside the Uchiha. Answer him, Ichi, or you will not be leaving here alive. We know that Sasuke is fine, his eyes are also fine. How did you do it? He questioned in a menacing and deep voice, all signs of infuriating childishness melting away. Ichi turned to him slowly. My secrets are mine, and mine alone. Uchiha Madara, he said with a very faint undertone of mocking in his voice. Pain's Rinnegan blazed. How do you know of Toby's identity, Ichi? He asked impassively. I can recognize her Sharingan. I felt it on the day of the Uchiha massacre when he chose to aid me. I never forget an Uchiha whose Sharingan I have seen. Toby clapped appreciatively. Yes. I too have that talent, young Ichi. Now, I remember the feeling of your Mangekyo very well. But it seems your eyes have now evolved to eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Ichi's Sharingan began to shine malevolently as he faced Pain and Toby across the judo statue. I told you. My secrets are mine alone. Akatsuki needs my power and loyalty, not my secrets. But I will tell you this, Madara. My eyes are eternal now, supposedly like yours. Pain and Ichi stared as Toby began laughing heartily. The masked man slowly walked to Ichi and clapped him on the back in a comradely fashion. The second person ever to awaken the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The blood of Madara Uchiha runs strongly in you, Ichi. You will be of great use to Akatsuki, of great use indeed. Prepare yourself for your mission, he said with authority. Ichi raised a quizzical eyebrow. His Sharingan picked up traces of pride in the impostor. Odd. I will tell you on our way, said Pain with his Rinnegan blazing as he walked to stand beside Ichi. You? Yes. My Rinnegan and your eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can achieve anything when used together. No one can stand against us. We will be the final power of Akatsuki, and we shall step in only when our goals are in jeopardy. I will be your partner from now on. Toby nodded. Yes. Pain will tell you of his true state and a little about his history if you are to be his partner in such a capacity. And you will know of our plan. Welcome to the highest echelons of Akatsuki, Uchiha Ichi. Ichi slightly nodded, keeping his face free of any and all expressions or emotion. He was in. But I suspect Toby knows a lot more about me than he lets on, and I can perceive that he is trying to use me to get something. I must be careful. Kushina, Naruto and Mito all walked down the silent lanes of Konoha. It was late in the evening, and the civilians were all in their homes. The lights were shining in the entire village, and the quietness was coming. Naruto wrapped an arm around Mito's shoulders and hugged her to his side. Kushina watched wistfully as they saw the love shining in the eyes of the great couple. Why do you let Ichi-kun call you by your real name, Hashirama? Questioned Mito softly, looking up at her husband. Yes, I've noticed that as well, Naruto. You let some people call you Naruto, and some call you Hashirama. Does it not spark conflict in your mind? Kushina asked worriedly. Naruto considered, pondering his answer for several minutes. He looked at his two most precious people and replied. Yes. People from my past life, such as Mito-chan, know me as Hashirama. People from this life know me as Naruto. Some, like Hiruzen, knew me as both. The truth is, I have accepted the fact that I don't really know who I am. What do you mean, Hashirama? How can I best explain it? When I awakened my old life, I became Hashirama. But I am also Naruto. I am both of them and none of them at the same time. I became someone new. You remember how angry I got at Iwa, don't you? Asked Naruto. Kushina and Mito both shivered and nodded. No one who witnessed that battle would ever forget it. It was seared in their minds forever. Naruto continued, looking introspective. As Hashirama, I was never roused so quickly. In this life, Hiruzen was the only one I could take comfort from. At this, Kushina let out a soft sob. Naruto encircled his mother in the embrace of his left arm as they sat down on the park bench. Don't be sad, Kasan. I do not like what had to be done, but I have made my peace with it. As I was saying, when Hiruzen died, I felt anger such as I have never felt before. That was what I used to feel as purely Naruto. I had very few people I could call precious when I was just Naruto, so I tend to protect them much more viciously. Even now. I suppose I can understand a little of what the Uchiha feel as their love is destroyed. Naruto looked at Mito, who seemed to be thinking hard. Mito, you knew me as Hashirama. I am Hashirama, yes, but no longer am I only Hashirama. He turned to his mother. Nor am I only Naruto. I am both of them and more than both of them combined. I am a new person, and that is why I said I don't know who I am. I am still discovering myself. But Hashirama, you did not answer my original question, reminded Mito gently. Naruto sighed. Yes. You see. I truly admire Ichi. He is a shinobi who is truly a beacon for this generation. His high ideals are something every shinobi should try to emulate. Mito and Kushina nodded at this. It was quite true, what Naruto had said. Ichi lives in a world of shadows and darkness, hate and deception. I could see that the life he was living was really taking a toll on him. Ichi understands many things about the village's origins. He understood the truth of the history between me and Madara. He understands much about the truth of the Senju and Uchiha. That is why I knew he would take hope in the fact that I walked the world again, and was sharing his burden. We both love Konoha in the same way, and would give up anything for it. Mito interrupted him. You did a good thing, Hashirama. I could see that Ichi's depression was lifting every time he mentioned your name. Naruto nodded sadly. Depression heightens the power of the Mangekyo. It is the natural consequence of those eyes. The one who bears the Mangekyo craves power, and the eyes feed from the depression it creates in its bearer. It is a vicious cycle of hatred, one that drove Madara mad. Ichi's will of fire is strong indeed to have remained so pure for that long, murmured Kushina, amazed. It is. That is why I wanted Ichi to get the eternal eyes, rather than Sasuke. I know that Sasuke can be great, but he must first heal himself. Ichi's mind however is a lot more advanced and he is ready to be the Uchiha that Konoha needs. I only wait for the day Ichi can stand openly by our side as Konoha's protector along with Sasuke. Naruto's face hardened in resolve. Kushina and Mito stood as well, looking at him solemnly. We will need to plan our next 3 years. Besides training, I wish to see how all the other nations are faring, and the state of the shinobi world as a whole. We need to talk to Tsune tomorrow and leave as soon as possible. I can feel that events will come to a head in a few years, and I must be ready for it. The three disappeared towards Naruto's apartment. Sasuke's Sharingan flashed red as he browsed feverishly through the scrolls in the Nakano shrine. He rarely left the place now, as he was seeking insight into the Uchiha clan, and what better way to start than the records of the Uchiha themselves. The moment he had begun to question Ichi's actions was the moment he had begun to question what exactly he knew of his clan. Up to now, he had simply been parroting what his elders had taught him about the Uchiha. He knew nothing about his clan, its true origins, its purpose and philosophies. What the Sharingan truly was. He remembered Ichi sitting in the same archives and poring over scrolls day and night. So he was retracing his brother's path, hoping to find answers. He tossed away a scroll that held records of one of the battles between the Uchiha and Senju, and picked up a scroll bordered in gold thread. Commercial ventures and assets of the Uchiha. Sasuke scoffed, and was about to cast the scroll away when his Sharingan picked up a slight wavering in its fabric. Intrigued, he laid open the scroll in its entirety on his table and observed closely with his Sharingan. There! That slight wavering in the fabric. It was a very subtle genjutsu, but very strong. Sasuke's Sharingan could only just see through it. I can break through this easily. The Mangekyo Sharingan shone in Sasuke's eyes as he saw through the genjutsu on the scroll. The illusion broke and the writings reformed into neat new script. He began to read. I am Madara Uchiha. The one who reads this scroll bears the Mangekyo Sharingan. Greetings, true-blooded Uchiha. This is my final word to my traitorous clan as I leave the village, betrayed by all. The ancestor of the Uchiha, one of the founders of Konoha. Sasuke could not contain his eagerness and awe as he read the manuscript his feared ancestor had concealed. We have been sidelined in the hierarchy of Konoha. Curse the weak Uchiha who betrayed me and sided with the Senju. Our once proud clan will be the lapdogs of the Senju. Hashirama is so strong that except me, no one can stand against him. I sometimes wonder. Is he the Rikudo-Sennin reborn? How can anyone be so strong? He defeated me utterly in our final fight. We tore the earth apart, and the heavens themselves churned in response to the magnitude of our fight. But my eternal Mangekyo Sharingan made no difference to Hashirama, and he defeated me easily. But we struck in accord with each other after Hashirama was even ready to kill himself to prove his trustworthiness. He is the only Senju I admire. But I could see the natural order of the world asserting itself in Konoha. Our clan, which had been beaten in every way by the Senju, was being seen as inferior. Our rise demanded respect, But the villagers knew that in front of Hashirama's strength, we were nothing. I tried once again to stoke the hatred of our clan, putting forth my arguments. But it meant nothing to those traitorous vermin. My brother's sacrifice was voided by their cowardice. Now, I am leaving Konoha to seek understanding and power. Power to defeat Senju Hashirama at last, and wrest Konoha from the wretched hands of the Senju. But I understand one thing. My will of hatred will live on secretly in the Uchiha clan, just as the Senju will of fire will shine brightly in Konoha. I predict that the Senju will oppress our clan without us even knowing it. Tobirama was always resentful of us. When Hashirama passes, it will be Tobirama with the Hokage title. Then, the Uchiha will wither. I have read our secret tablet with my eternal Mangekyo, and I will share with no one the secrets and understanding I have gained. Hashirama will fall before my eyes. In our next fight. Or sometime later. But he will fall. There is no doubt about it. Sasuke could not take his eyes off the scroll as he finished Madara's monologue. Then his Mangekyo Sharingan picked up even more wavering in Madara's scroll. A second layer of the Genjutsu. If it weren't for these eyes. His Mangekyo shone a menacing red as he broke the second layer. His breathing quickened as he read the title. First meeting under Fugaku, head of the Uchiha clan. He continued reading the scroll, and he could not believe what he was reading. His mind was furiously churning in agitation, and he began sweating. Impossible. How can this be?
Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you guys want to watch more like it, please subscribe to my channel and become part of the video game fanfiction plot. And please leave a comment down below and hit that like button. If you guys have any suggestions on any stories you guys want me to read, don't hesitate. They're always welcome here in the video game fanfic plot. That also goes for video games. Until next time, goodbye!